Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and I probably could figure out if I sat and thought about it for another 10 minutes, I could probably come up with about 5 or 10 more words that are pretty close, A, S, H, H, 2, maybe with a different letter or two in front of them. But it's examples like this to show you how tricky it can be. The word crash.
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 I didn't say cash. And I didn't say clash. I said crash. Crash. Crash, clash, cash. Pretty close. Pretty close, but totally different in the meaning. Cash. What is cash? Cash. Money. Money. It's not a check. It's not a credit card. It's not a debit card. It's cash. Cash. I will sell you this for cash only. No check, no credit card, no debit card. I want cash only. Cash. Crash. Crash. Two cars crash in the street. Boom, crash. There was a crash, a car crash yesterday on Seal Road, let's say. Clash. Clash. The two men were very upset with each other and they clashed in an argument. They boom, crash, clash, clash, clash. Came together in a combative way, a clash, to fight. Ash. Ash. What is it? What is the ash? Ash. If you smoke a cigarette, ash, tap, 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 the ashes fall. The ash. What is left of the burning of a building, of wood, of a cigarette? The ash. A dash. A dash. A dash is a short race, 100 meters. Oh, the 100-meter dash. It doesn't mean very slow. It means you've seen it on television, the race, men line up, go. A dash. Or you can have, when you're cooking or eating food, you can add a dash of salt. A dash, a little bit. But most of the time, you will see, the runners are participating in the 100-meter dash. Flash. A flashing light. A flashing light would go, why is that light flashing? Or in a flash means very, very quickly. When can you come to my office? Sir, I will be there in a flash. Soon. Quick, very quick. A severe cut on the arm, a gash, a severe gash, a cut. Oh, he suffered a gash on his arm in the car crash. He suffered a gash, a cut, a severe cut.
It's like a wound.
A wound. He was wounded, well, he was injured, he was wounded in the accident. He suffered a severe gash to his right arm. A cut, very deep cut.
Deep cut.
I better go to the hospital. A rash. He suffered a rash.
A long deep cut. Good morning.
A rash. Suffered a rash on his skin. It broke out, maybe measles or some disease that caused a rash, a redness up and down his arms and on his back. He had a rash. A sash. A sash. In Japan, it would be called an obi. A sash. Something you would tie around a sash. Something to tie around the waist. Sash. Little sash. Trash. Trash. T-R-A-S-H. Trash. It's like crash, flash, trash. Trash. Things that you throw away, that you no longer need. Oh, we don't need all that. Throw it in the trash. It'll be taken away. Throw it away in the trash. But the only one that ends up ASH that doesn't sound like ash is wash. Wash. Wash your hands, wash your clothes. It's wash, not wash. A little bit different. Bash. Bash is to hit something very hard. To hit something, he bashed him in the face. Oh. A bash. Crash, dash, flash, ash, gash, hash. Hash can be to do something very wrong. He hashed it up. He made a big mistake. Or hash is a food. It's usually meat and potatoes mixed together. A hash. A lash. A lash is a whip. And he was punished and he was to receive 12 lashes. 1, 2, 3, a lash. Or it could be your eyelash. Eyelash.
Yeah.
Eyelash, right here, lash. Lash, the eyelash. Mash is to crush, very fine. If you could have mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Very finely crushed potatoes. Mash, crash, sash, trash, wash, hash, gash, mash. It's just the idea that it's important to pronounce the words correctly. As you can see, they all except wash, of course, all ash, one way or the other. Ash. Flash, dash, cash, clash, crash, bash, ash. What's he saying? Oh, he's just pronouncing words. Any questions about those? Any questions about the meaning of them or how they're pronounced?
Lash.
Lash?
Lash.
Lash.
Meaning lash.
It would be like a whip. A whip. You know, it's a long leather, let's say. Leather and shoot. A shoot. The lash is the item, but you would, if you were punished, let's say, 200 years ago, some places they would administer 50 lashes because of what you did. You robbed the bank, you will be punished with 50 lashes. There's lash. 1, 2, 49, 50. Okay, that's it. A lash, it has a handle, and then something, and you would take it like this.
To beat.
A beat, like a whip.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a whip. Or a lash.
Lash.
Even today, in some countries, people are punished by receiving so many lashes. Oh, shoot, oh. It still happens in some places today. I don't think in Thailand, but some places. Any questions about other words? Crash, dash, flash, rash,
Sash.
sash. Yeah, some people like certain dresses or certain clothing, you would take a long piece of cloth and you would tie it around your waist, and it would be a sash to tighten the dress maybe, or to just an extra piece of clothing to make it look nice or something like that. In Japanese, the word sash is an obi. An obi, a sash. It goes around. They wear a very long, straight dress. So in order to show some hips, let's say, they wear a sash and tighten it so that the long, straight dress now is not long and straight, it's tight right here. Because it's like a belt, just like a belt. Except it's mainly for a women's outfit. It's not a belt, it's a cloth, colorful, you know, red maybe or something like that. That's a sash. Lash, hash, gash, trash, wash. Okay, well, we'll get back to where we were yesterday, or I mean Friday. Any other questions? Okay, clash. The important thing is to remember the pronunciation is the key. Because you can see it's ash, 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 ash. But every word has a different meaning depending on the first letter. That's why it's critical to pronounce the first letter properly. Okay. Talking about this is what actually happened in Hong Kong on Friday, but it was worse than this sentence. I'll explain it in a minute. Okay. Of course, what happened, let's see, yeah, I think Saturday, there was a flight from Thailand to Hong Kong. And it hit very severe weather. on approaching Hong Kong. And 5 people in the plane
Yeah.
were seriously injured and had to go to the hospital. And maybe a dozen or so of the crew, who were usually walking around doing something in the plane, were injured as well. Not severely, but 5 people had to go to the hospital. They're okay now, but apparently the boom, and really threw the passengers around. That's why it's important to keep your seatbelt
Yeah.
fastened, because if it happens, you go right to the ceiling. Kaboom! A lot of them suffered head injuries because they hit the top of the plane. That's how bad it was. And some of them were either in the restroom or didn't have their seatbelts on. And of course, the crew, they're walking around doing things, so if it happens, everybody goes right up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's pretty dangerous. So that's the tip for the day. Fasten your seatbelt. It could be a bumpy ride. My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm. But after a few minutes, the weather cleared, and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk. You don't have to say could, I'm just adding that a little bit. It's silk, just a touch, just a little bit. My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm. But after a few minutes, the weather cleared, and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk. Go ahead, give it a
My
try.
flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right, very good. That word is through. It's pronounced like, it's spelled in that case like this, but there's another word pronounced the same way. Not true. Through. Notice my tongue. Through. If you say true. Through. It's a different pronunciation entirely. Through. He threw the ball. We went through a rainstorm. In other words, we passed through the storm. Okay, give it a try.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right. The rest of the trip was smooth as silk. Okay, go ahead.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right. Very good. My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm. But after a few minutes, the weather cleared, and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk. Go ahead.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right. My flight. But after a few minutes, plural, more than 1 minute, several minutes, a few minutes. In other words, more than 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes. My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm. but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk. Go ahead.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right. And it was a bit bumpy as we passed through, You have to bring the S into play. Past, rest. You have to include the S, otherwise, what did he say? Who? What? Go ahead. I'm saving him for last. Go ahead.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right, very good. Go ahead.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Okay. As we pass through a rainstorm, we clear and rest. R sound. It's very difficult sometimes to get away from the L sound with the R, but try to practice rain, not lane, rain, rest, not less, rest, rainstorm. It would be good if you have time at home or someplace to practice the R sound, to get away from the L sound, if possible. Go ahead.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right, the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk. Go ahead.
My
Once you
flight
show up,
was a
you're in the
bit-
game.
My flight was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm, but after a few minutes, the weather cleared and the rest of the trip was as smooth as silk.
Right. If you have trouble in the back reading the what's here, you can stand up and move forward a few feet. It's okay, no problem. You can kind of move up to the center there, and it's easy. No problem. So anyway, my plane was a bit bumpy, a little bumpy, not real bad, but just a bit. Enough that must be bad weather. Was a bit bumpy as we passed through a rainstorm. So the plane's going along just a little bit, but enough that it got your attention. But after a few minutes, the weather cleared. No rain, sunny. The weather cleared, and the rest of the trip, the remainder of the trip, what was left of the trip was as smooth as silk. In other words, instead we're like this, and then it cleared, and then smooth as silk. If you have a silk blanket or a silk dress, you know that it is very smooth. Any questions?
My flight was
What?
bumpy What is the meaning of bumpy?
A bit bumpy. Well, I'm reading what's here. A bit bumpy. What do you think it means? The flight. The flight.
This frog gọi là tụt xuốngอากาศ
Bumpy.
พี่พรตกลงอากาศใช่ไหมตกลงอากาศใช่ไหม
ตกลงมาตายไง
Yeah.
แล้วนั่นคือ
In other words, it wasn't smooth. It was bumpy. But when the rain went away, it was smooth again. So you were going like this. And then smooth as silk. Any other questions? Bit bumpy, a little bumpy. A little bit. A little. Not a lot, just a little. Any other questions? Okay.
Teacher, a little bit and a bit is the same. A little bit.
Yeah, a bit is a little bit. There are no big bits. If it's a bit of this or a bit of that, there are no really big bits. It's all little. Just an extra word. I will see you in a bit. See you in a little bit. It's pretty much the same. There's no such thing as I will see you in a big bit. No. I never heard that. A little bit. I will say, when can you see me? I'll see you in a little bit. When can you see me? I'll see you in a bit. That means in a short time. Couple minutes, maybe 4 minutes, maybe 3. Any other questions? Little bit, a bit bumpy, but not a bit. Just a little bumpy. Not kaboom, kabah. No. A little bit.
It's like air pocket, teacher. It's like air pocket. When the air
Oh, in other words, if the plane got into an air pocket,
yeah,
like a pocket,
yeah.
but in this case, be something like, maybe like that.
Oh,
And the plane was coming, no problem, no problem. And it got into maybe all of a sudden, it happens rarely, but it happens. As I was saying, there was the big, well, it wasn't an accident so much, well, the plane, the Thai Airlines plane in Hong Kong was coming in for a landing when all of a sudden, about 20 people were hurt, 5 had to go to the hospital.
yeah.
So what was that all about? Woo. Keep your seatbelt fastened. Oh, just missed. Could have had you read this.
จะมาขอบคุณ5 นาทีเอง
เบื่อจะไม่เรียนแล้วฉันเหนื่อยมากเลย
Thảo vậy thảo. Thảo vậy.
สองคนนั้นน่ะใส่เสื้อเหมือนกันทรงผมเดียวกันเลยใส่กางเกงก็เหมือนกันเสื้อเหมือนกัน
บางทีเกิดเห็นนุ่งผ้าไหมมาเดี๋ยวคนตกใจ
Dạ, mình phải làm.
ค่าไฟก็ขึ้นค่าแก๊สก็ขึ้นค่าทาง
แกชอบเขียนแคปิตอลเลเตอร์เยอะมาก
อาจารย์เขาไม่ได้เป็นครูโดยอาชีพ
ติดนะก็ติด
เขามีใจรักในการสอนแต่ไม่ได้เป็นครูก็จะได้เห็นแนวนี้แหละ
เดี๋ยวพระอาจารย์เนี่ยมีข้อเรียกว่า
แต่เขาไม่ใช่ครูแบบนั้น
เอาที่เดือนไหนอาจารย์
ออกพรรษา
ไปไหนดีอ่ะ
อาจารย์บอกว่าอาจจะไปแถวกรุงเทพนี่แหละไปพิพิธภัณฑ์ไปวัดพระแก้วไปอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
พี่หนูยังหาสปอนเซอร์อยู่พี่ต้องเป็นสปอนเซอร์
อาจจะไปพิพิธภัณฑ์
พี่หนูก็มีญาติเยอะอยู่หลายจังหวัด
พี่พิพัฒน์เนี่ยไหว้พระเจ้าวัดเขาคิด300เองค่าเช่า
คอมมิช
อ่านง่าย
เราไม่สามารถเขียนได้
ครับไม่ต้องเขียนได้เป็นสายด้วยเขียนได้ไหมล่ะ
อาจารย์ไม่สามารถเขียนได้
จะเขียนไม่ได้เป็นสายเลย
เป็นเทคนิคเฉพาะตัวไม่สามารถเขียนได้จริงๆเขียนไม่ได้อาจารย์เลยส่งได้
บางคนเวลาเขียนสายเป็นสาย
Okay, this is something that happens every day.
ดูโอเคครับโอเค
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. 2 cars collided at an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Wow. Happens all the time. There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. What? 2 cars collided in an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Wow. There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. 2 cars collided at an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Go ahead.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. 2 cars collided at an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
Right. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. The word here is collided. Collided.
หมายว่าอะไรนะ
Something like that.
ชนกัน
Collided. 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 Right. Okay, go ahead.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. 2 cars collided at intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injury. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
One of the drivers failed to yield. Yield. It's almost like it's Y-E-E-L-E-D. Yield. 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 One of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Go ahead.
There was an accident in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood yesterday, 2 cars collided at an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
Yes. A witness said one of the drivers. Not one of the divers. No. One of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Sing.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. 2 cars collided at an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
Very good. Very good.
Not you.
No, that's very good. No, maybe you teach the class.
No.
There-
No.
Okay, very good. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Go ahead, sir.
There was an accident in my neighborhood. Yesterday, two cars collided at the intersection. Two people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. The witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of the way.
Failed to yield. One of the drivers treatment of minor, just like M-I-N-E-R, minor, treatment of minor injuries. Okay.
There was an accident in my neighborhood. Yesterday, two cars collided
Right.
at an intersection. Two people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of the minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers for the to get the right of way.
Okay. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. And taken to the hospital. Not hospital. There's an S here. There's an S. It's not hospital. No, it's hospital. Taken to the hospital. You have to have the S sound. Otherwise, you can't understand it. Okay, go ahead.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. Two cars collided at an intersection. Two people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
Right, very good. Collided. Two cars collided. Collided. Go ahead.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. Two cars collided at an intersection. Two people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
Right, very good. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way. Okay, go ahead.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. Two cars collided at the intersection. Two people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A A witness said one of the drivers failed to use the light of way.
Failed to yield the right of way. Not the light of way, the right of way. Intersection. Intersection. At the intersection. Intersection. Right of way. Right of way. Go ahead, sir.
There was an accident in my neighborhood yesterday. Two cars collided at an intersection. 2 people were injured and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. A witness said one of the drivers failed to yield the right of way.
Right, there you have it. Fail to yield the right of way. So, what does all this mean? Well, something bad happened. Not good, obviously. Something wasn't planned. Nobody wanted to do this, but it happened, an accident. Something went wrong on the road, and there was a problem. There was an accident. Where was the accident? Who, what, when, where, and why? Where was the accident? In my neighborhood, where I live. Not too far from my house, actually. Maybe in the next street. Oh, wow, really? Ooh, very close, yeah. It was in my neighborhood where I live. And it was yesterday. Who, what, when, where, and why? Why? Accident. Where? My neighborhood. When? Yesterday. We don't know why yet, but we will. 2 cars, kaboom, collided, hit each other. Kabang! Oh, wow. Collided. Boom, hit each other. 2 cars hit each other in my neighborhood yesterday. It was a shame. That was at an intersection where 2 roads cross. Wow. At the intersection right there, where the roads cross. At the intersection, 2 people in the cars, 2 people were hurt, were injured, and taken to the hospital 2 miles away. There's a hospital, and they were taken there by the police, let's say, in an ambulance maybe. Wow. Taken to the hospital. Hospital. Wow. Wow. Hospital. Hospital. Remember the S sound. It's not hot and it's not hot. It's hos. For treatment. Oh. I have a cut. Okay. We'll fix that. And so everything's okay. Got to go home. Injured. Minor injuries. Not serious injuries. Not fatal injuries. Not dead. The fatal would be dead. Serious would be maybe all broken legs, arms, or whatever. But these were minor. Broke a hand, broke a wrist, maybe making an elbow, have to wear a cast. Minor, not serious. Minor injuries. The witness, the guy who, whoa, whoa, whoa. I saw it happen. A witness is a person that saw something happen. I saw it. I was standing there. I was ready to cross the street. And all of a sudden, kaboom! One of the drivers, driver, there were 2 cars, 2 drivers. So one of the drivers failed. Did not follow the rules. Was told by the rules to do something and he failed. He did not successfully drive the car. He failed. What did he fail to do? The why of the accident, the who, what, when, where, why. He failed to yield the right of way. Wow. Accident happens. What does it mean to fail to yield the right of way? Failed to yield the right of way. Happens all the time. Suppose that this is the intersection. And there's a sign right here. A sign, a road sign.
Yeah.